Hello, so today is Thursday and it's just after lunchtime. So normally I'd be on my way home to Edinburgh just now, depending on business. But I'm staying down for Friday this week because quite a few residents have been in touch about one of the private members' bills, which is being considered tomorrow, and it's called the Protection of Children. I have to read this, open brackets, Digital Safety and Data Protection, close bracket, Bill. And remember, it says right, it's been presented by an MP called Josh McAllister. So the reason, so that this bill is quite important for quite a lot of parents in Edinburgh South West, because it'll ask the government to look at raising the age of consent for people joining social media platforms from 13 to 16. So that doesn't seem like a lot. But what it will do is bring us into line with quite a lot of other countries, and I think Norway has recently made the same step. And the bill will also ask the government to issue advice, medical advice to practitioners and also parents about the health impacts of overusing social media, and this is really focused on endlessly scrolling, which I think many of us are guilty at times of, what that can do to our concentration span, etc. And the third thing it will do is ask the ask the government to look at what other measures it can make in this broad area. Just get a bit of view of Westminster Hall. There's as always, there's school children coming through, and it'll ask the government to look more broadly at what it can do in this area. So we just moved from Westminster Hall into St Stephen's Hall. So that should be quite interesting. I'm quite keen to go along and support that. Had a meeting with Josh this morning, and he's quite hopeful that he can make a change. So moving to 13 from 16, I do get that quite a lot of parents will be really keen for that to happen. There's some questions about enforcement, of course, and some parents might want to resist that change, but nonetheless I do think it's right that the government looks at it. The other bill we're looking at tomorrow is from our Scottish Labour colleague John Grady, and it's called the Space Indemnities Bill. So it's a bit technical, but it's quite important. What that does is it's about looking at what level of insurance people who want to launch space vehicles from the UK, and it's not a huge industry in terms of big launches, but it is an important industry in terms of jobs, high-tech jobs, particularly it's right across the UK, and it's looking at what level of indemnity they require just in case in the very unlikely situation where something goes wrong. So it's really important actually, Bill, in terms of supporting the industry. And we're speaking to a space supplier in my constituency this morning about the bill. He doesn't launch vehicles from the UK though, he's a supplier. He's more in touch with the European Space Agency and NASA, and he's got his company, which is based in my constituency, we'll talk about it tomorrow in Parliament hopefully. They've currently got a piece of equipment on the International Space Station, which is something I'm somewhat proud of, even though I don't know much about it. I tried to understand it, but it's all very technical. It's a sensor on the outside of the space station they've helped construct. So a couple of really important private bills, members' bills, and of course I've got my one next Friday, and hopefully MPs will return that favour and come in to talk about rare cancers and what we have to do to improve treatment. So I can't remember I've done a video from St Stephen's Hall before. So this is actually the site of the original House of Commons. It was a church here. I think it was largely wooden construction, and it burnt down. Just at the bottom of the steps there is where the Speaker's chair used to be, and we can go over and see some brass pins in the floor, which I think outright where the Speaker's chair used to be. I don't know if you can see the four of them there. And another thing about here is there's a plaque on the wall over here at St Stephen's Hall, which explains that in 1910, Miss Marjorie Humes, she chained herself to this statue. She was, of course, a suffragette, and really important that I mention this today because today we're debating International Women's Day in the Chamber, and it's International Women's Day on Saturday. So of course, this was a church, This is actually where the first floor of the church would have been. The ground floor is below this floor. This floor was actually installed later, I think. The original church burned down, as I said. We had choir stalls which face each other, as you sometimes see in quite formal churches. I think Westminster Abbey has that. And that was where the MPs sat in these opposing choir stalls. And that's why we have the style of chamber we have in the House of Commons, the seats opposing each other, because that's how the choir stalls were. Whereas a lot of other parliaments right across the world, they kind of have the horseshoe parliament, style of parliament. Which I think people say that leads to a less adversarial chamber, but I'll let experts debate whether that is correct or not. And it was certainly the style of chamber I seen when it was in Ukraine a week or two ago, and their parliament's called the Rada, which sounds quite impressive. And of course, Holyrood in Scotland does have that horseshoe-shaped chamber as well. Nonetheless, this is a fantastic room, and it's the end of where I can film or take photographs. Once I go through those doors, people get quite upset if I have used my camera. Okay, whatever you're doing, I hope you have a great day, and have a look at that bill around the social media use of younger people, whether or not you agree with it. I'm really hopeful we'll hear more about that, and the government will think about it more widely. And also space indemnities. Isn't it fantastic? We've got a company in Edinburgh South West supplying really important kit to the National Space Station. Something to be proud of. Okay, have a great day. Bye for now.